frustrating. So, because it's not. Okay, do you see me now in the group, Rain? Is it popping up in the group now? Or is it still lagging some? Because it says I'm on here, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully on the playback, it'll catch up for everyone to be able to play it back on Facebook. But I know Instagram is working properly, so we're going to rock and roll with that for right now. Um, so thank you all for joining me this evening. I truly, truly appreciate it. Tonight is part 2 of our series in regards to a day in the life of an NEMT owner. And so last week we talked about the owner operator point of view, and then this week we're going to be talking about things that you should be doing from just strictly an owner's point of view. And so before we get too deep into that, I do want to let you all know, please drop you off emails in the comment section if you have not subscribed to the website. That way I can go ahead and add you all manually so that you can get the updates directly to your emails. Also, June 28th will be the last public live. All lives will be shut down for memberships only. So I just wanted to remind you all of that. If you all have any questions, please reach out to me, DM, email, things of that sort. The phone calls are still available for you all to go ahead and schedule. It is a fee associated if you are not a member. If you are a member, you get that in your monthly package, okay? All right, so quick overview of what we talked about last week before I jump into tonight's topics, because it pretty much goes hand in hand in terms of once you step from behind the wheel, things that you should be doing to grow your business as an owner. And so, being behind the wheel, you do have to do things during the day in terms of customer service, driving behind the wheel, but also once you get home at night, you still have to do some paperwork and follow up with any type of clients that may have had a bad experience or may have been disgruntled for whatever reason. So when you graduate to the owner level of things, when you're no longer behind the wheel and you are more so hands off in terms of being able to take care of the paperwork, take care of the admin side of things, what does that look like? And I want to touch on this because there was someone who reached out in the group last week in regards to doing scheduling manually and doing all the scheduling himself. And, my advice with that, because it really just depends on what your angle is to grow your business, how you want to operate your business now and also for the long term. And I say that because at some point, when you have a 9 to 5, you're able to take PTO and take a vacation for a week where your phone is not ringing, you have no emails to check. You can enjoy the time, quality time with your loved ones and your friends and the family. Someone else is handling those tasks that you typically handle when you're at work at your 9 to 5 and you're on your vacation for that week or 2 weeks, right? Okay. So when you are an owner and you are, your admin person, you're the only person that is able to run your business, no one else can run your business but you. What happens when you want to take a vacation? What happens when you get sick? What happens when you have death in your family? What happens when you want to get married? What happens when you want to expand your family and have more kids? What happens when all of those life factors take into place? And so I present those questions because, I myself were faced with several of those questions at a point in my business. And there was no one that I could pass tasks off to. And that was because I had grown my business where everything was just on me. All the weight was on my shoulders. And that's a lot. Not only workload wise is that a lot, but mentally that's a lot. That's stressful to know that you have no one else that can run your business but you, because you have built your business that way. So I ask you all to keep that question in mind as we go through tonight's topic, because as you grow your business, you want to have someone in place. And in order to have someone in place to be able to operate without you, you have to have certain things in place that they're able to use as a guide, that they are able to say this is concrete how things are supposed to run, such as the manual of day-to-day operations, such as how much access does that person have to your company. So all of these are questions that you have to think about and consider when you're building your business, because it can go really fast. And then when you get to that point and you haven't considered how you're going to graduate from the owner operator to the owner, you don't know what to do. And so you become overwhelmed and you feel like it's only you and only you can do it. And so you get to a point where you don't want to pass off the baton to anyone else. And so that was the whole point that I was trying to make to that guy who had reached out. And I hope, he took some time to think about what I was saying, because it's really a real thing. Life still happens. And at a job, you have a lot of other coworkers. Whereas you're the owner, you have your employees underneath you who the driver may not know how to send an invoice or to get an invoice paid. And you need to get this invoice paid or sent off in a significant amount of time, right? So if you're on vacation, you have to stop enjoying your vacation and your relaxation to do these things. And I say that because as an owner, you have to take a break. You have to take some time for yourself, because it does get very stressful. So if you're the time that you're supposed to be taking for yourself and you're still working, you're never getting time for yourself, essentially. So I just want you all to consider that as we go through tonight's topic. Um, I'm sorry, you all. I've been back in the gym and I'm trying to get my gallon down. I'm almost done for the day, so let me just get a little swig before we get too deep tonight. Mm. Okay. You all will see me do that several times throughout the night because the gym is kicking my butt. All right. So, first things first, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back and forth between my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss any of the things that I jotted down to talk to you all about tonight. So just as we talked about last week in terms of the night before, the start of the day, during the day, and at the end of the day, I'm going to go to the same breakdown from the owner's point of view tonight in terms of, how to go there. All right, so the night before, as the owner. Now, this also depends. Okay, I got a message, so essentially, I'm assuming Facebook is lagging again, but we're going to keep going. It'll catch up, and they can catch it on the replay. So I do apologize, if you all do watch this on the replay. But anywho, all right, so essentially, the night before, as the owner, all trips should be uploaded to your routing software. Now, if you are responsible for dispatching, or if you are responsible, or you have another dispatcher, however you do it, it can go one of two ways. So, if you are responsible for dispatching, then all trips should be assigned by a certain time for the convenience of your staff. I talked about this last week. Even if it was just you and one other person, that one other person has the right to have their schedule or have their route at least by a certain time, cutoff time the night before. If that's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever your hours are, it should just be some type of set time that your team has their routes in the portal. That's just a sign of professionalism. If you are not responsible and you have a dispatcher, then you should still have the rides uploaded by a certain time, but you need to inform your dispatcher, hey, the rides are uploaded, you can go ahead and start assigning those out, because that dispatcher should be making sure that whatever cutoff time that you all have established or set for the team, they have enough time to go ahead and send those rides out. So I'll give you an example. My business hours are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So essentially, I try to have all rides uploaded by 4 p.m. so that my dispatcher can have those rides assigned by 6 p.m. for the next day. Essentially, if a broker is calling for a trip that late in the evening and they know what our business hours are, then it's a last minute trip that they had, and 9 times out of 10, it may be a little messy. It could be a last minute appointment. The client may be going, may not be going. It just depends. If we have made our budget for the day already, then we're not going to be desperate for a trip where it disturbs our day-to-day operations. But if we have not made our budget and we need to take that trip, then we'll adjust, and we may have to schedule trips a little bit later that day. It just depends. But if that is the case, then our team is aware. So that's something to take in consideration. Um, Now, depending on the amount of drivers that you have, then you should definitely have some type of group chat for you all to communicate. I say anything more than 2 drivers, you all definitely need some type of group chat. Um, and that is something that essentially whatever type of blast that you are sending out, whatever type of updates that you are sending out, is all on one accord. You don't have to contact everyone separately. So you all can throw it in the group chat. Hey team, just want to let you all know trips for tonight are uploaded. I mean, trips for tomorrow are uploaded. If you have any questions, let us know. Also, it allows your team, if they have any type of sickness or their children are sick or anything last minute, and you all have that time established where things are going to be posted, then that gives them enough time to let you know, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it in tomorrow because I had whatever, last minute, da 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 da. Okay, so now you have the amount of time to reroute. It's nothing worse than, waking up in the morning, thinking that you have the day set in terms of routing and scheduling, and someone essentially calls off for something that really could have been done the night before, but you may have sent the trips out too late and it didn't give them enough time. So you want to take that in consideration as well. Da, 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 da. All right, so start of day. Now it depends. I don't know how you all are doing this or are thinking about doing this, but if your drivers are taking the vans home, or if the drivers have a location where they have to come and meet for pickup, it essentially depends. But if the drivers who are taking the vans home, they should, or anywhere if they're not taking the vans home, they need to be completing a daily inspection of the vehicle. Our daily inspection is on our app, so they actually check the boxes and it's already put into the system. But if you are not using an app just yet or using routing software, then some type of paper vehicle inspection should be conducted each day. That way and they're also responsible for checking the headlights, the tail lights, the horn, the windshield wipers, making sure there are no lights on the dashboard that shouldn't be on. Because essentially, I mean, that's how you're making your money, right? It's not an office that they have to come to where office equipment is provided to the job, like a computer. No, the equipment is the van. So, they have to make sure, it needs to be making sure that it's in a good condition for them to operate day to day, especially if they have the privilege of taking the vehicles home, because that is a privilege to be able to do that for your team. Okay, let me see. Now, if there are any vehicle issues, and this is something that essentially you all want to take into consideration, but we have a lead driver. We have 2 actually. And so lead drivers are drivers that have been with us for the longest and who are able to pretty much handle tasks that a newer driver would not be able to or not be familiar with. They've been with the company longer and they know the ins and outs. A manager, right? A team lead. So if there are any vehicle issues or anything that is out of the norm, that task should be passed on to the lead driver, and prayerfully, it doesn't disrupt anything throughout the day in terms of scheduling and routing, because if so, then that means the owner would need to take care of that. It could be something small, like a tire went flat, or it needs an oil change, or it could be something big where the vehicle is not starting at all, and that's not something that a lead driver can handle. And what I mean by handle is that not fix it themselves, but essentially take it to the shop to get fixed, or you should have some type of shop that your business frequents that is local to your home base, because this essentially you're gonna have to go there a lot, so you need to make friends with somebody in the maintenance field. So essentially, you should have something or somewhere, a shop that is local by, where your drivers can go to and they're familiar with your company. You have a rapport, whether you have a line of credit with that company, it's a mom and pop, or it's a corporate store where you can get store credit, whatever the case may be, how you can work that out. But if anything happens, essentially it gets passed on to the lead driver and they can go ahead and take care of it. That's just start of the day, making sure that everything is okay. So making sure that the inspection gets done. If anything is off, report it to the lead driver, have the lead driver take care of it. If that lead driver cannot, because it's out of their scope of, the job, then the owner has to take care of it, um, and make sure that gets done. So, in terms of what the dispatcher should be doing at the start of the day, the dispatcher should be conducting the confirmation calls to all the clients at least 1 hour prior to their pickup time. And the reason for this is because, as I said last week, yes, that client may have confirmed the night before and giving you the okay that they still need transportation. However, something may have come up where it prevented them to be able to make that appointment that morning or that afternoon or whatever the case may be. So you want to make sure that you have also reached out to that person at least 1 hour before their pickup time. So that's what the dispatcher should be doing. Now, this is also something that I wanted to point out because for the gentleman who had reached out in the group in terms of doing everything yourself, this is a task. Depending on how many drivers you have and how many clients that they're touching each day, calling your clients an hour before the pickup, making sure they get there, get dropped off. That's an all-day task. It's no way that you can do that and grow your business in terms of, and what I mean by grow your business, I mean in terms of applying for grants, applying for funding, applying for contracts and government bids, actually going to sit face to face with property managers and facility managers to get the private contracts. There's absolutely no way you can do that and efficiently operate day-to-day business and run it efficiently. There's no way. There's no way. You have to delegate those tasks to someone else. If not, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And so that's why I say to you all, I want you to keep in the forefront of how it is you want to operate your business. Because essentially, yes, you can make decent money and you can operate everything on your own. But you're going to be tired. And when it comes time for you essentially needing to take a break, go on vacation, take care of a loved one who is sick, take care of yourself because you're sick, you're not going to be able to get a full day off because who's going to take on that task? You haven't trained or created that position for someone to come in and take over. So keep that in mind, okay? All right. Sorry, guys. All right. Oh, we are almost done. Okay. All right. So now during this time, in terms of the start of the day, I talked about what the dispatcher should be doing. I talked about what the driver should be doing. Now, you as the owner, what are you going to be doing? As you as the owner, what you should be doing is checking the emails to see if any same day changes have occurred within the schedules. Essentially, if you are operating with brokers, or if you're operating with private pay facilities, essentially, if they have not called you to make a change, they're going to send that change via email. So you want to make sure that you have checked all emails at the start of the day. Make sure you check all voicemails at the start of the day because this is going to be essentially how you set the tone for what you need to do for anything that's not already on your list. Things may have come up on the voicemails, on the emails that you didn't already have on your to-do list for that day. And so making sure that you check those first thing in the morning allows you to get a jump on it. Now, essentially, you also want to check in with your team. Like I said, you want to make sure you have some type of group chat. The group chat is one-stop shop. You're not having to reach out to everyone individually. So you want to, check in with your team in the morning, do a morning check-in, make sure the team morale is up, give some motivation, let them know where you all are with things. Let them know what the weather is. If there are any delays, you turn the radio on or the news on and you see that there's a traffic jam or a major accident, let them know that in the group chat because essentially they can prepare for that as well, where they're not just, walking in blindly through the day or through the morning route rather, and there's something that you could have forewarned them about, if that makes sense. All right, let me see. Also, any updates that you may have in terms of fleet maintenance. Now, say for instance, like I said, the drivers have gone out, checked the vehicle, started the day. If there is a vehicle that needs to be pulled out of the fleet, then the driver should be made aware of that. Why? Because this informs them which vans or which vehicles are available, number one, and also if a vehicle had to be pulled out, then they can expect their load maybe a little bit heavier than normal because they're picking up the slack for one of the vehicles being out of the fleet for the day. Okay, so that allows them to mentally prepare. And I keep going back to mental preparation because it's not fair for your team to not be in the know of things that are going on. So, if you are able to inform them of things, and I'm not saying, show them the books or let them know financially what's going on, or let them know what the brokers are. I'm not saying all of that. What I am saying though is you want to build your team's trust for your business and you as an owner. So allowing them to just have some insight on what's going on for the day allows them to be more comfortable and more confident with their job in the company. So give them some insight if you can, as much as possible. Touch base with them. Give them some morale, some motivation, especially at the start of the day. Trust me, it goes a long way. You also want to be getting prepared to get out the house to or wherever you're stationed to go market, to conduct your presentations, to conduct your outreach opportunities. Your calendar should be stacked as an owner with getting out into the community. Once you're in the position where you have someone who is running the day-to-day phones and doing the dispatching, it is your job to be out into the community as much as possible. Why? Because this is where your business is. This is how you're going to sell yourself. Yes, you may have gotten started with brokers, or yes, you may have had a few private pay clients starting out that has allowed you to sustain right now. But how are you trying to grow? And the only way that you're going to grow is by getting outside. You have to get outside. You have to get to the health fairs. You have to get to the vending tables. You have to get to the meetings. You have to get to the networking events. You have to get to the conferences. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you put someone in a position that will be able to take on the task of answering the phones, dispatching the rides. Those tasks are minuscule when it comes to really growing your NEMT business. You've already gotten from behind the wheel. You've already answered the phone calls and done the dispatching yourself. Now it's time to grow and put someone else into those positions. And the only way you're going to be able to do that, like I said, is setting your company up to pass the baton on. And you have to make sure you have those plays in order. Whatever instructions that you have, if I don't care if it's creating a marketing flyer, you need to have those instructions in writing for the person that's going to come in and do that task after you. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I'm sorry, I'm going on, so I need to make sure I get to the next points. I'm sorry. All right. Now during the day, there's some different tasks as well. During the day, the dispatcher is responsible for managing the team. That's the dispatcher's job. Now, if you're doing the job yourself as well, like I said, eventually someone else is going to have to come in and do it. But the dispatcher should be well equipped and knowledgeable on the ins and outs of the day-to-day operations, where you as the owner should not have to be so hands-on. And the dispatcher should only have to contact you if it's a situation that they have never been faced with before. So, with that being said, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you have all the processes in writing. They need something concrete to go by. All right. The driver should also not be contacting you. Therefore, its first point of contact should always be the dispatcher. And during the onboarding process, this needs to be stated explicitly. And I say that because, again, by they I mean the drivers. The drivers have that point of contact with the dispatchers to be able to reach out to them to figure out what is going on at that moment. So if they have to contact you, then that's a problem, because that means the dispatcher is not able to answer the question or handle the task at hand. Maybe they need a step that you don't have written down yet. Maybe you need to create another form so they'll know how to handle this task. Whatever the problem is, you need to identify it so it can be solved. Because you don't want them, and by them I mean the dispatcher or the drivers, to constantly be reaching out to you as the owner when you're out trying to do presentations, you're out trying to finish the applications for some grants or some funding. It's going to distract you, okay? So just make sure that when you're growing and you're scaling, you keep these things in mind. All right. All right, so as an owner during the day, these are some of the things that you should be doing. Presentations for private pay contracts. So we talked about this about 2 or 3 weeks ago in terms of going out to market and actually having maybe like a PowerPoint presentation, doing a lunch and learn, or coffee and donuts for residents at facilities to basically sell your business, to get them to buy into your business and to settle a contract with you. You also want to be conducting meetings with new facility directors for private pay. Like I said, having that lunch, having that lunch meeting to talk about how you can be of service to their facility. Handling payroll, cold calling facilities to set up the meetings and the presentations. Yes, you may have conducted one or two. Okay, so where are you going next? You have to get those things set up. Handling admin tasks that are outside of the scope of things for the dispatcher to do. The dispatcher can only do so much because that's their job. They're the dispatcher. They're supposed to handle the team, the routes, the scheduling, the phones. Now, when it comes to other admin tasks, depends if they're able to, take on those tasks, if they have agreed upon that in their job description. And also, as you as the owner, do you want them to carry out those other tasks? That depends as well. So you just have to figure out what you really want that person to do. Handling vehicle maintenance if the lead driver is not able to do so. So, say for like I said, if the lead driver if it's outside of something basic like an oil change or a flat tire, then you may have to be the one that handles that with the local shop that you have a partnership with. Um, Finding business funding, finding grants. There's a grant going on right now with Progressive. They're giving out $25,000 commercial grant for anyone who is trying to purchase a commercial vehicle. And I believe the 2nd of June, or either the 2nd of June or the 4th of June is the last day. But those are things that you need to be doing. Filling out those applications, finding the money, paying invoices. So, once you put all of that in one and then you add the dispatching and the routing to that as well, there's no way you're going to be able to do everything I just named plus the dispatching and answering the phones throughout the entire day and run your business efficiently and be happy. It's just not, it's impossible. So I want you to think about that, because yes, you can get the money, yes, you can have the business, but what good of that is if you have no time for yourself, you have no time to enjoy it. Okay, so think about that. Now, um, at the end of the day, your dispatcher should send you a report of the day's operations. There should be some type of template of questions that you have created for your dispatcher, and you want to make sure that that person fills that out daily, because that's going to be the way that you know what happened throughout the entire day. Again, they should not be contacting you for every little thing. They should be contacting you for an emergency or something that they have no idea how to handle, because maybe it hasn't come up before or they don't have the instructions on how to handle it, right? So that's fine. But you still need to know what happened during the day. So the only way you're going to know what happened during the day is if they call you or they send you a report. So they should have some type of template that you have created for them to fill out daily that gives you a review of what happened for the day. Um, and this is how you'll be able to keep track of everything. So some of the things, and this isn't everything, but some of the things that you want to know just off the top. Were there any disgruntled clients from the day that you need to follow up with? If so, then you as the owner want to reach out to that client personally, because number one, it just makes them feel so important. The owner of this company reached out to them to make sure that their problem or their issue got taken care of. They feel really, really special for that. And it also makes them say, you know what, I'm going to give this company another chance, regardless of whatever the problem was. It could have been something very minuscule. We've gotten a complaint that our driver talked to a client too much on the way home, and they just wanted to sit there in silence. So it could have been something very minuscule. But you want to just make sure that you reach out to them because it can make them feel very, very important. Also, you want to know, were there any issues with their drivers? Did anyone report late? Was there anyone that was non-responsive when it came time to communication? You want to know that information. Were there any vehicle maintenance concerns? Anything that broke down, fell off, got hit? You need to know this information. So you want to know, where is there anything that you need to be aware of maintenance-wise? You want to make sure you're checking the voicemails and returning any missed calls. If you had presentations and your management line, you should have a management line separate from your dispatch line. So your dispatch line, that is your main business phone number. That is your number that is promoted the most for your company on all your cards, all your brochures. But as the manager, as the owner of the company, you need your own management line so that you have whatever phone calls that may need to get escalated, or it could be a new facility contract that's coming about and you don't want that call to go directly to the dispatch line. You need your own line, whether it's a Google Voice number, whether it's a $30 track phone number from Walmart, whatever the case may be. The owners need their own line. So you want to make sure that you're checking the voicemails and returning any of those calls that have come through for the day. If someone is answering the phone calls for you, i.e. your dispatcher, your office manager, whatever the case may be, then you want to make sure that whatever messages that they have written down for you to call back, that you call back. And again, all this information should be included in some type of wrap-up sheet for the day that your dispatcher or your admin person fills out to send to you daily. That way, you don't have to talk on the phone every 5 minutes, every hour about what's going on. You get that day-to-day report, and you all are able to talk about it the next day or during your weekly meeting or however you all touch base with one another. Okay? All right, I'm getting to almost of the questions. Give me one moment because I see some questions over here. If you are on Facebook and you have some comments or some questions, I do apologize, but I'm not able to see them because Facebook is lagging. So if you can share your questions on Instagram, if you're able to get on Instagram, it's still that NEMT girl on Instagram as well. Again, I'm just not able to see the comments there, so I apologize. All right, so there should be some type of end of day check-in message with the staff in the group chat, and it concludes the workday. It should be a thankful message because you want to make sure that your team feels appreciated and you know that they know that you need them. Essentially, your company is not going to run without your team. So you want to make sure you're checking in with them as much as possible in the day, doing that motivation, getting them up and going, and also the end of day, just thanking them for the day's work and preparing them for the next day. You want to make sure that you're reviewing a list of clients on the schedule for the next day, uploading all the trips, and informing the dispatcher they have been uploaded. Again, if this is your task and you don't have a dispatcher just yet, then you want to make sure that the trips are uploaded to the portal and assigned to the drivers by a certain time, because it's not fair for them to, get those schedules pretty late and not be mentally prepared for where they have to go. Review those emails. You want to send any follow-up emails that you need to send for the presentations that you may have conducted, and just tie any loose ends from the day. So in terms of loose ends from the presentation side, like I said, any type of feedback that you may have gotten from the presentations, you want to send your emails back out to the facility director. You want to make sure that you're following up with them in a timely manner because you don't want them to forget about you. So that's the end of the day task for the owner, the dispatcher. The drivers, they don't really have too much of an end of the day task, just for checking in. Any questions they may have. You want to make sure you have the cutoff time in terms of what they can contact you as well. Why is this important? Because you still have to live, okay? You have to take time for yourself. So there's no way you're going to be able to do that if your drivers feel comfortable contacting you all hours of the night because, they forgot to ask you about a day being off, or they forgot to request to get off earlier a certain day. You know, those types of questions, you don't need to be contacted 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I say this because people do it. Okay, so you want to make sure you set those boundaries from the jump so that your team knows what to expect, not only from you as the owner, but also just from day-to-day operations. Okay, so again, we talked about same breakdown in terms of what we talked about last week from the owner operator standpoint, but this week we talked from the owner standpoint and in terms of the night before, the morning of, during the day, and end of day. So, what questions do you all have for me? Again, I'm sorry I can't see the Facebook questions, so I know Facebook is still going. So, if you can hear me on here, I know it's lagging a bit, but please hop on over to Instagram if you're able to. I know not everyone has an Instagram, but we're still on Instagram, the same name, that NEMT girl, and I'll be able to see your questions in the comments here. Um, Let me see. All right, let me go up some. Okay, Gerald asks, "What's the website to the commercial vehicle grant?" So if you join on Facebook, I posted the link in the Facebook group for you all to go to, but it is hosted by Hello Alice and Progressive. So if you're not on Facebook in the group, you need to be in the group because that's what the link is. But it's also, if you're able to go on Google and type in Progressive and Hello Alice commercial grant, that'll pop up. Okay, we use NEMT platform for our routing software. And actually, um, about 2 months ago, we had a live with Wakar from NEMT platform. I'm actually going to get him back on for the NEMT membership group, maybe sometime in July. Hopefully, he'll be able to join us for one of our lives to give us a demo on their software again. Pretty much what he does is he hooks up the NEMT routing software to the Zoom, and you're able to see exactly how it's broken down. So you're able to get the full demo on that. Okay. Um, No problem, Joe. The link is there. And I've heard great things of Route Genie, but NEMT platform was a better price point for my budget at the time. So that's what I went with, and that's how I've been stuck with. But I may explore Route Genie as we continue to grow, but right now it's not broke, so I don't plan on breaking it. All right, so I'm just going to wrap up. I can't see the questions on Facebook, but if you are on Facebook, please shoot me a DM and I can get those questions answered for you. Again, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with Facebook, but thank you all for joining me again this evening, and I pray that you all have a great rest of your week. Miss Rain, we will definitely touch base tomorrow for our call, I'll shoot you an email back because I did see your email right before I got on here. So you all enjoy the rest of your evening. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Bye bye.